Hey guys, welcome to Brit Indians. I'm Joshua. So in this video, we're gonna see a special person. So it's none other than my brother. My brother did his masters in US and now currently working in US. So we plan to make a video on like UK, like studies in UK versus studies in US. So that's what we are gonna do in this video. So let's go and welcome my brother. Before moving on to the video, I want you guys to subscribe to my other channel called Brit Indians Tamil Vlogs. So it's full of vlogging content which I do, and it's in Tamil. So if you are interested in watching vlogs of UK in Tamil language, you can go and subscribe that. I have given the link in the description. You can go and check it out. Yeah, Jabraj, can you introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, hi guys. My name is Jabraj, and I've been working in US for the past 6 years. Previous to that, I completed my masters in the US, and that's a quick, short introduction of about me.
Okay, that's nice. And yeah, guys, so today we are going to do something like UK versus US. Like, what are the things that, you want to know about studies in US? And I would be comparing that with the studies in UK. So, so how long is the master's program in the US?
Um, in the US, it's typically 2 years, but it kind of varies depending on what you choose to be the program. For example, you could do a program without any thesis option, which means typically it's about completing 10 courses. And let's say that if you take more than 3 courses per semester, you can probably get the course completed within 1.5 years or so. But if you choose to go via the thesis option, which is typically you would be working or doing some sort of research thesis under a professor, then that could take even 2 years or even 2.5 years. So it depends on what sort of course that you opt in your master's program.
Okay, so in UK we have 1 year master course, so that's standard throughout UK. And some universities offer 1 year course and 1 year internship. So that's what they say as 2 years course, but usually we have only 1 year of studies. So yeah, I think 1.5 years in US is also a good thing to do. But is this M-Eng, like the thing without thesis, is it a good option to do for students?
It also again depends, right? So there would be some students who would be interested to move towards PhD once their master's is completed, and for them, the best option is to choose a program that has a research option to pursue. So master's with thesis would be a good option in that regard, and there would be other students who do not want to pursue this route and just want to enter into the industry and start earning as soon as possible. And for them, just completing whatever the course requirements is just enough. So it just boils down to what is your preference, let's say, in terms of completing the program.
Okay. So what are the admission requirements in US? So do you need TOEFL, there's GRE and GMAT? So like what is the exact admission requirements for US?
Well, typically, if you are going to enter into a master's in engineering, you would have to complete or write your GRE, which is the graduate record examination, followed by TOEFL or IELTS, which is typically accepted as standard that defines your English language proficiency. So these two tests are typically required. But if you're going into some sort of a management master's program, then the equivalent of GRE on that side would be to take GMAT.
Hmm. So are there any universities, that don't require, GRE or GMAT?
Well, there are several universities that don't require GRE that you can simply apply where GRE is optional more than a requirement. But almost all universities require IELTS or TOEFL. But I would also strongly caution against going that route because it's better that you try to take GRE to at least gauge your level against standard English and math questions before coming or jumping into a graduate program, because graduate programs are not easy. They are strenuous, difficult, and requires time to complete. So it's better if you have a good score in GRE. That also boosts your admission possibilities of entering into good good universities as compared to mediocre universities. So in that aspect as well, taking a GRE and scoring a good score in GRE always helps.
Okay, but in UK we usually require IELTS score. But nowadays, most of the universities even take people without IELTS score itself. So with their 12th mark itself, they can apply for the universities and they get admission in those universities as well. So yeah, and what is the tuition fees in US? So what is the minimum and average tuition fees in US?
Well, this is a hard question to answer because it varies a lot. It varies state to state. It varies city to city. So this is a hard question to answer, and it varies, and it also varies program to program. Typically, management programs are more expensive compared to engineering programs. So what I would say is. Typically, universities in Texas tend to be a little lower on the fees, and typically compared to other regions in the country. And typically, private universities again charge you more compared to public universities. So it's basically which university do you really want to go, and how much can you really afford to pay. So it's not an easy question to answer. It is very dependent on, as I said before, the universities, the location of the universities, what type of universities are they, and what program are you actually applying to.
Okay, so can you give us an approximate, tuition fees, the minimum tuition fees that, let's say I'm doing a university in Texas and I'm taking engineering. So how much will be the, fees?
Okay, since you insist, I probably can roughly say maybe around maybe $6,000, $7,000 per semester to around maybe $40,000, $50,000 per semester. So as you said, like as I said before, it's basically a huge difference in terms of the fee affordability. So it all boils down to, again, as I said, what you want to do. But these numbers are, as I said, it's very rough. It comes down to the point of the specific university that you're applying to.
Okay, so approximately cost around like somewhere around $28,000 till more than $80,000 for a person to complete a master's in US.
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay, yeah.
Because if they do not have any sort of funding.
Yeah. So in UK, usually the fees ranges from £10,000 till I think around 50,000 pounds for 1 year, because it's obviously 1 year. So that's the thing. But yeah, obviously the the big universities, they charge more. And when it comes to low ranking universities, it's always lower fees. So yeah, since you told about funding, so what are the funding options available in US?
There are different routes here. So let's say that depending on the universities, there would be options to do assistantships. So there are different types of assistantships. Let's say you are working under a professor for a thesis, and there is some sort of funding available for that particular project. Then you could be offered what is called as a research assistantship. So a research assistantship is typically one that comes with some sort of a stipend monthly. Could be anywhere between maybe $1,000 to $2,000, depending on if it is a part what they call as 0.25 or zero point 0.5 assistantship. So typically 0.5 assistantship means like you will be working 20 hours a week. 0.25 means you'll be working 10 hours a week. So that is the research assistantship part. Similarly, you could let's say you score good in a particular course, and you can probably become a TA for that course the next semester, and that is again helps you to help by providing some sort of stipend for that position. And finally, you have what is called the graduate assistantship. Here again, you would be working, let's say, maybe helping to maintain a library website or something like that, or maybe working to update the university website or something like that. So that is basically a graduate assistantship thing. And here again, you can work, as I said, 10 hours a week or 20 hours a week, depending on what the position requires you to. So here again, you will be getting a stipend. And in some universities, these stipends come with fee waivers. So let's say that this semester your fees is around $15,000 a semester. These sort of assistantship that I told before, this research assistantship called as RA, this teaching assistantship typically called as TA, and this graduate assistantship typically called as GA. These assistantships typically cover part or the complete fees. So they may cover 50% of your fees. They may cover 100% of your fees. And this would be in addition to the such stipend that you get. So that is what makes these funding options really attractive, because now your burden on the fees is reduced, and you are also given some stipend to assist with your monthly expenses. And that is why these options also tend to be very highly competitive. So this is on the funding. This is on the assistantship side. The other option is you could always work within university. There could be different student jobs available. You could be working in a library. You could be working in some sort of a dining hall, things like that. And that would be basically per hour basis. Let's say that you work 10 hours a week, you typically would be paid anywhere between 10 to 12, $8 to $12 an hour. So that is hourly positions. They do not offer you fixed stipends, and also they do not offer you any sort of fee waivers. So yeah, these could be the different options. And once again, they also tend to be highly competitive. You typically have to apply for them yearly in the semester, because depending on which university you are there, and if that university particularly has a lot of foreign nationals, then everyone tries to apply to those positions, and they can quickly become highly competitive and unavailable also. So it's almost I would say 50% luck and 50% being at the right place at the right time.
Okay, yeah, I think there are a lot of funding options available in US, but in UK usually we get these scholarships when we apply for universities. So we get around like 10 to 50% scholarship based on our bachelor's score and IELTS mark. So other than that, there isn't much funding available. There are few 3 or 4 fully funded master's scholarships are available, but it's highly competitive, and maximum of 10 or 12 people get that in the whole UK who are coming for masters. So it's really funding wise it's a bit low in the UK, and we don't get much fully funded master's program here. Okay, so
yeah, to add to also what you just said, I remember that one point to add is typically PhD applicants or people applying for PhD tend to get more assistantships compared to master students. So if you are constrained by funds or something, PhD is some route that you can choose if you are especially interested in research, because rather than doing a master's and then a PhD, you can directly apply for a PhD. There is something called a direct PhD if you have excellent scores in your bachelor's program and some sort of a research background in your bachelor's. That would also help. So yeah, just wanted to add to that note.
Okay, that's great, because here PhD also, it's very tough to get a fully funded PhD in the UK. More people are struggling to get that. Okay, so let's come to the job market. So how is the job market in US right now?
I mean, right now we are in a post-pandemic era, so I would say the pandemic effect is sort of wearing down, and the economy is opening up, which means more jobs are actually coming up, which is good. But having told that, job prospects depend very much on what is your background, like which courses did you typically choose, and the location plays a very important role. So let's say that if you are actually into mechanical engineering or some sort of or chemical engineering, something like that, and if you are actually in California, your prospects may be a little lesser compared to being a computer science graduate and being in California. So the location plays a crucial role as to how many jobs or how much jobs are being offered to a particular candidate. So I would say look at the locations before you apply, especially for mechanical engineering students. Midwest or Texas would be a much better option than being in California, and for software engineering folks, California, the West Coast in general is a much better location. And for management folks, the East Coast or the New York side of things would be a much better option in general. But this is not the rule of thumb. It's just the common consensus depending on where you see the jobs being focused on particular areas within the continental US.
So, like, what is the minimum salary that a graduate gets? Like, let's say I'm a fresh graduate and I'm studying, a mechanical or civil engineering, and I'm going into the market. So, right now, what will be the minimum salary will I be getting in the US?
It's again a very difficult question to answer because it depends on a lot of factors. Typically, much more influenced by the profession that you are in, and also the location that you live in. So typically, if you are living in a high cost area, let's say like a Bay Area or something, you typically have a much higher salary compared to being living in somewhere in Midwest in a small town, because your cost of living is drastically different as well. That being said, your profession also determines your salary. Like typically computer science graduates tend to get a little higher compared to other streams, and civil engineering graduates tend to get the lowest. At least as to what I have seen, that is being the trend. But it again depends on your experience and your skill sets and things like that. So it's not universally true as well. So I would actually say it's hard to put a number there, but it varies very significantly depending on the factors that I mentioned.
So, is there any national minimum wage that they have to give for a master's graduate or something like that in the US?
Well, there is a minimum wage rule across the US. I think around $9 per hour, but that doesn't matter for the masters, because typically you'll be paid much higher than that. But I think if you wanted to get a H1B anywhere in the US, I think you have to earn, if I'm not wrong, around $60,000 or above, something like that. At the bare minimum, maybe 65. I'm not very sure about that, but somewhere in that range. That is where typically you have to be your base pay should be at least that much for you to get a H1B visa post your graduation. But that being said, your salary depends very much on the location and which profession you are working for.
Okay. Yeah, in the UK, we usually get an average of 25,000 pounds because it's not huge as US. So if you're in London, obviously you may get around 30,000 pounds per annum, but normally across UK, it's around 25,000 pounds per annum. And if you have experience like 8 or 10 years, then you may get a bit more. but 25,000 is not the exact value, but yeah, people are getting around 20,000, 22,000 pounds. So, but it's not a huge difference like in, in US, because obviously California is like way expensive than being in Texas or in any other state south, or if you're in New York also, the expense will be more, like in London. But yeah, in UK we don't have a much big difference in salaries. Okay, so if a student is coming to US, which course, like for example, that's computer science, engineering, management. So which course has a good value in US?
Value, what do you mean by value? Like the prospect to get a job, or what does it, what
Uh,
do you mean by value?
Obviously, the prospect to get a job in the US with a good salary, let's say, I mean, yeah, obviously 60,000 and above for getting an H1B and things. So, what is the which is better to study in US, computer science or engineering core, or a management studies or medical studies? So, which is better in US?
Well, medical sciences typically pay you a lot, but it's not easy. It's
Mhm.
highly difficult to enter that field. So I wouldn't even bother talking about that. So let's jump to the easier of the two, the management or the engineering. Both, I mean, management also pays you quite good, provided you have good experience and background in that area. But since I'm an engineer, I think I'll be more inclined to talk about engineering field. And coming to the engineering field, I would say, as is the norm typically in most places, computer science engineering folks typically uh, tend to get a lot of offers, or at least easy to find, more offers in that field, with a decent pay compared to other streams. But it also depends on the location, as I said before. So if you're sitting in somewhere in, let's say, somewhere in Arkansas, or somewhere like in a university with a computer science degree, you may have tough time to find a job compared to someone who's sitting in California and applying for jobs. And also the pay for computer science typically tends to be a little bloated, because most of the jobs are in high cost areas. So you have to pay them high salary to adjust for the cost of living. Whereas other streams like mechanical engineering or chemical engineering typically tend to be in the low cost areas, which means you do not have to pay that high, but still maintain the same standard of living in both these areas. So it's very hard to put a number on that. But since you are asking, I can roughly say that computer science engineering typically gets highly paid, at least on the paper, compared to civil engineering or a mechanical engineering graduate.
Okay, yeah, in UK as well, I think computer science has a good growth here, and like salary wise, and getting a job. There are a lot of job opportunities for computer science people. But obviously, medical side also, if you're going for medical science, I think UK has a good market here, like for biotechnologist, and paramedical courses like pharmacist, and a lot of things. UK has a good market for that. And obviously management and engineering also has a good value here, but the thing is, like, the salaries are far less than what we get in US. Obviously we get, like, as I said before, it's 25,000 pounds per annum, which is roughly around, I think, 35,000 to $38,000 per annum. So it's way far less than what we earn in US. So in that wise, I think US has a good salary package, but obviously the cost of living also plays a thing there. Yeah.
Yeah, but you
So
guys get free healthcare.
yeah, free healthcare. Yeah, but we have to wait for 6 months to get a thing done in the medical field. It's a good thing as well, but yeah, obviously we have to wait a long time for each a scanning process or a operation or something. We have to wait for a very long time. Yeah, so that's it. I think I had asked all my questions. And yeah, thank you for being on the channel. Yeah, so thank you for giving your valuable insights on the study in US thing. I hope it will be useful for everyone. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Joe, for having me on the channel. It was nice talking to you. I think this video will be helpful for folks looking at options in both US and UK. Yeah, it was great talking to you.
Okay,
Thanks.
bye.